City used to be labeled the most dangerous city in the nation. Well, now it's gone almost a full year without a single homicide. KPIX5's Len Ramirez live in East Palo Alto with what changed the community. Len?
Well, Alan, it has been a major transformation here over the last several decades, since the 1990s, when, as you mentioned, it was the murder capital of the U.S. Take it from someone who was here back then, it was a dangerous place.
East Palo Alto, which they call EPA for short, is a lot different now than it was in the 90s, where it ranked as the murder capital per capita. This city gained the name Small Town Cemetery from its past and things going on in the city. EPA doesn't get recognition as many other Bay Area cities like Oakland and San Francisco because of the lack of opportunity and attractions like sports teams, famous rappers, and things to do. EPA is a city that's only 2 miles with limited things to do. To give you an idea, there's only 2 gas stations and 2 McDonald's in the whole city. I personally know that myself. EPA has no malls, no movie theaters, no bowling alleys, or really no attractions to the city. Everyone basically knows everyone in the whole city, so everyone goes to the same stores, same gas station, and same food places. Around 2000, EPA got a shopping area that became the city's biggest draw. But the area is really just a lot with some stores that include Target, Nordstrom, some food places, and an IKEA across the street. With a whole lot of gentrification, many companies have took over EPA and surrounding areas, like Facebook and Amazon, causing the rent in the communities to rise. Now most of the EPA homes value at $1 million, causing many EPA residents to move to cities like Sacramento, Stockton, and Antioch over the years. With most of the residents moving out, that has caused one of the most dangerous cities to become a city that is more safe than ever imagined. Besides crime, EPA was known for having one of the most diverse communities around. In the 90s, EPA was 43% black. That has dropped to about 15% in current times. The Hispanic community is about 65% now, with the influx of immigrants coming to the city. EPA is also known for having the most Pacific Islanders in any territory outside of Hawaii. For people that's not aware of Pacific Islanders, that's Samoans, Tongans, and Fijians. These groups come from islands in the Pacific Ocean. EPA is made up of 4 parts that different gangs claim. You have the G, the Vill, the Mid, and the OTR. Just a city over, you have Palo Alto, a suburb that was ranked the 4th richest community in America. EPA was the complete opposite, and at a point, minorities wasn't even allowed in Palo Alto in the early days. In this episode, I'm going to go into a gang from EPA called the Taliban gang. This gang comes from the Mid and EPA, and is also associated with other cities surrounding them. They was known for catching bodies, and also numerous robberies around the Bay Area. The police made a whole operation to bring them down, and other hoods called Operation Sunny Day. Their main rivals are people from the Vill, so I'm going to also go into that. This first case is about a Taliban member named Jordan, who went on a robbing spree. September 26, 2008. Jordan will rob a store with a machine gun and came out with $3,700. September 27th, the next day, Jordan and 2 other people will rob another store, and they came up with $7,500. October 5th, Jordan will hit 2 stores in one day, one being a failed robbery where he didn't get anything and had to escape the police by running. The second, he was able to take the cash from the cashier and take cash from the register. October 7th, Jordan walked inside his Cali liquor store and whipped out a machine gun and demanded the money in the register and took the cashier's phone and wallet. The police would be called and he went on a high-speed chase. He crashed the car, but he would escape. On December 19, 2008, Jordan would be arrested after his fingerprints and cameras in every place he robbed would identify him. All his crimes were also in the same area, which was San Jose, which is a close city to EPA. Jordan was a known Taliban member, and his original sentence was 17 years. But with gang enhancements, he received 27 years for his robberies. Around 2 a.m., June 4th, 2011, 2 masked men put a gun to Jermaine's head while he was sitting in his car. They stripped him and drove off in his red Chrysler. Jermaine called the police and told them he didn't know the man, but he knew where his car could be. He told the police it would be in EPA, in the mid area. The area was known to be associated with the Taliban. Jermaine would tell his girlfriend it was a dude named Man, who was from the Taliban gang, who always hated on him, who took his car. The police would find his car later that day and returned it to him. August 18, 2011. A red Chrysler would be seen following a car. It was Man from Taliban being followed by a red Chrysler. The car would pull up and begin shooting Man. He would lose his life. The whole shooting would be caught on camera from a house on the street they drove on. August 23, 2011. Jermaine would be arrested. A newspaper article of Man being shot and a 4.5 would be found in Jermaine's car. Fingerprints would be found on the gun, and it was determined it was the same gun used in the shooting. Jermaine would receive 34 years to life. December 14, 2011. A man named Brandon was shot, and he would lose his life. Later that night, a man would be shot trying to get revenge for Brandon, but he would be arrested after driving to the hospital. He had a gun in his possession. December 18, 2011. Several shots would be fired in Taliban's turf. Police would arrive and see several members from the Vill. They would begin to fire at the police, and they would get away. By this time, Taliban and the Vill were locked in a full-fledged war. By June of 2012, the Vill would lose a member named Skedry. September 30th, 2012, 2 Taliban members would be shot by the Vill. A week later, in the morning of October 5th, a man named Christopher will be attending the funeral of a fellow member from the Vill named Box. By 8:21, police responded to a shooting where Christopher was found shot. He will lose his life. Just 2 days later, October 7th, the Vill would get revenge when they shot 2 Taliban members. One will lose his life. In the October 5th shooting, a Ford will be found nearby, crashed into a fence. The car was registered to a woman named Lakeisha. Lakeisha had let her boyfriend Miguel and his friend Jerry, both members of the Taliban, drive the car hours before the shooting. A few hours later, after Miguel left with the car, he would tell Lakeisha to report the car as stolen. He later arrived at Lakeisha's house with blood on his stomach. Many witnesses would see Jerry and Miguel running from the scene. A fellow Taliban member named Warner would testify to get a shortened sentence on a separate case. Warner would say Miguel told him that him and Jerry pulled up to a gathering for Box, the Vill member who just lost his life. Miguel would say they seen Christopher outside and both shot at him. By November of 2012, Jerry would be in jail. In jail, he would be rapping on a phone call. In his freestyle, he would be talking about shooting people from the Vill and about putting in work. The police would use this and messages from Facebook where he tried to get guns from some people. Jerry would later be interviewed, and he told the police he had nothing to do with the shooting. He said Miguel put up in the area to pick up some money, not to shoot. He said once Miguel got out the car, he stayed in the car, and next thing you know, he heard shots and see Miguel running back with a gun in his hand. For the shooting, Jerry received life without parole, and Miguel received 35 to life. They both got additional time for several robbery cases as well. All these crimes and more is what led to the Sunny Day operation. The Sunny Day operation was used to clean up EPA and surrounding areas. The war between the Taliban gang, the Vill, and Sack Street, who Taliban also beefed with, led to members of all 3 gangs losing members and also going to jail. With the gentrification, like I said before, and indictments on gangs, EPA crime rate dropped to an all-time low, which they only have seen a few murders per year in recent times, at a point going a few years without any. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, check out my previous videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.